Hi everyone, it's Nicola from Rossell Fitness, and this is part 6 in our 6-part series on why diets fail and what you can do in your lifestyle, in your post-diet state, to bring yourself to a point where you feel like you're back to normal, you're operating at a level where you have confidence in your food choices, and you don't have the stress around eating and dieting and weight loss that you might have been experiencing for the last years or maybe even decades. So if you haven't watched parts 1 to 5, I really encourage you to go back and do that now. They do form a nice flow kind of narrative working through to this point here. Obviously, the temptation these days is to kind of skip to the end of the story and just get the action points for what to do when you're in your post-diet phase. But I do think it's important for you to understand kind of the foundations of biology around dieting and all the kind of psychology and habits for kind of good, successful long-term weight loss. So please go back and watch parts 1 to 5 and then come back to this one. And I would actually encourage you to go and watch them all over again anyway, even if you've got to part 6. When I'm learning on a series, when I'm doing something, if I'm not taking notes, I'm definitely going back to watch a second time. So part 6 today is just going to be reiterating a little bit on what we've talked about in parts 1 to 5, but also talking a bit on kind of what the considerations need to be when you're in your kind of initial post-diet phase, so that you don't overshoot too far with calories and with weight gain or fat gain. So by now you understand that the diet isn't just about the weight loss, that a diet really needs to be considering the impacts on the afterward, the kind of weight maintenance phase, which happens after the weight loss. So you may have had a goal, you may have wanted to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever it is that your individual goal is, and you do that. That's fantastic, that's amazing. But what happens then? What happens when you've hit that target? Do you go back to normal? Do you go back to your old habits? Do you start eating everything under the sun because you've been on a really restricted diet? So we need to consider how we behave, the choices that we make in that post-diet phase. So if you haven't ever thought about what you're going to do after your diet finishes, this could be the reason why you've potentially been going through this yo-yo dieting phase, because once the diet is done, you're kind of done with being healthy. So you kind of go back to your old ways and just end up in this kind of cycle of up and down weight loss, which is what we really want to avoid, and what this series is really trying to lead you away from and lead you toward a more healthy, well-rounded, kind of simple approach to weight loss and weight maintenance. So really, if we want to be successful with our diets, with our weight loss, and what that really means for me and for my clients is, a healthy weight maintenance, feeling healthy overall, good energy, stable moods, kind of a really healthy and functioning metabolism, and all the kind of biological, physiological kind of really good things that go on in the body. We need all those things to be on point, really, for me, really, as a coach, to consider it to be a healthy and successful weight loss. So, it's not actually that hard to drop a few pounds, but what seems to be the challenging thing for most people is keeping those pounds off and not overshooting when you return to your old habits, which again, like I said, we're trying to move away from. We're trying to restructure a little bit and build in some really good new supportive habits. So, in that post-diet phase, we really need to make sure that we're being realistic. Coming out of a diet and changing your habits, whether you've made the habit changes in a positive frame of mind, where you're thinking, yes, I'm going to be really healthy this time, I'm going to make it different, I'm going to make sure that I really nail it, or whether you're kind of just going, yep, I'm going back to my old ways, and that's fine. Either way, you need to kind of accept that there may be a bit of weight gain or a bit of fluctuation in your weight. And if you can prepare yourself for that mentally, if you can accept that as a kind of a fairly, get almost a given in terms of if you're increasing calories, if you're changing your macros, if you're changing your habits and eating more of the things that you denied yourself, then your body is going to be in that state where it responds and potentially goes into some fat storage. So we just need to have that kind of mental awareness, that preparation, so that when it happens, when you get on the scales, you don't lose your mind and start to feel like you've failed. So gaining the weight back or gaining some weight back doesn't mean the diet was a waste of time. It just means that your body is responding to a new set of stimuli right now, and being accountable to that, and using the kind of habit considerations that we laid out in part 5 of this series will go a really long way to helping you adapt with kind of like the minimal weight gain associated with the process. So, sorry, got itchy nose. If you can bear that in mind and be prepared for that, then hopefully it won't knock you off your feet and kind of put you into a state where you feel like you failed and that the diet was a waste of time, because that's just not true. Okay, so another of the things that's going to be really important is that you've probably been looking forward to this end of diet phase for a really long time, whether your diet's been 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 12 weeks or 16 weeks. That's an awfully long time to go without your favorite foods. So maybe you ditched the bread, the pizza, the crisps, the cake, the ice cream, whatever it is that you chose to cut out of your diet. You've probably been mentally looking forward to eating that food, and maybe, depending on the kind of person you are, maybe even looking forward to eating it in abundance, shall we say. So you're going to be feeling like you just want to eat all that stuff. You've been denying yourself it for a long time, and it's a normal feeling. If you kind of say to yourself, don't think of a pink elephant, what do you think of straight away? You think of a pink elephant. So in the same regard, if you have been kind of saying, no biscuits, no cookies, no ice cream, no this, no that, no other, then when you're allowed again, when the rules are relaxed again, your brain's going to go straight toward, right, what can I have now? I'm going to have everything. And it's a normal feeling, but it's not necessarily recommended in terms of being able to maintain your weight. If you want that weight maintenance and the weight loss to remain, then kind of going into this post diet binge or post diet surplus of all the foods that you've been missing out on probably isn't the best way forward for now. That's not to say that you can't have them at all, but it's probably useful to have some guidelines that you kind of adhere to, so that you're kind of phasing these things back in rather than just going, so some useful guidelines that you could apply could be things like maintaining a calorie target, especially eating out, maybe only eating out once per week, just in that initial phase. Like your friends and family, especially if you've been dieting for any particular kind of event or reason or that sort of thing, your friends and family are probably going to be missing out on the other version of you that is the kind of version that eats with them and does a lot of the more kind of social eating kind of things. And maybe you've put a pin in that for the diet period. So your friends and family are going to be in that mode where they're like, come on, your diet's finished now, let's go and enjoy ourselves. And it's you've got to bear in mind that yes, maybe their heart's in the right place, maybe it's a bit misguided, but you're going to have all these external stimuli that's telling you eat, and we probably need to remove ourselves from that a little bit and have a phased approach. So maybe eating out once per week would be a good idea. Trying to maybe avoid takeaways or situations where food is really kind of plentiful and have lots of choices and lots of options. When we're faced with like a buffet spread, we want a bit of everything. We want to have a little spoon of everything and then go back again for seconds. And that's just not the way that we would, if we filled our plate with food, in terms of like the eat well plate or a balanced plate or kind of portion control plate, then two buffet plates full of food really doesn't fit in with that kind of guideline for a healthy balance. So maybe avoiding these situations where you're going to be really tempted and really kind of drawn toward eating more than maybe your body is used to in that time is probably a good idea for the first couple of weeks at least, whilst you phase yourself back into getting into a slightly more normal routine. And again, like I just said, portion sizes is important. So kind of sticking to things like that fist size portion of protein, half a plate's worth of vegetables, a palm size of protein, a fist of carbohydrates, half that plate of vegetables, and then around the thumb size of healthy fats. That's kind of a kind of initiation, portion size, beginner approach to the way to out. Obviously, as you get more advanced with nutrition, we adapt that slightly, but just to get a good understanding of how these things balance out, that could be a good way to do it again, just while your body recalibrates to kind of the new dynamics that you're asking of it. So and then again, something else that will be quite hard is aiming to listen to your appetite. So during a diet and post diet, the appetite signals can be a bit skew-with. You've spent a period of time probably ignoring your appetite signals, so the kind of the balance in those things might be a bit off. So just try as much as you can to reconnect with your appetite and listen to it when possible, in that the good habits like eating slowly, making sure that you feel genuinely hungry before you eat again, and that sort of thing. So just trying to re-establish those boundaries for your appetite would be a really good idea. So I can already tell what you're thinking, and you're probably thinking this is going to be like the most boring post-diet phase that I've ever had. And that may be true, and I get it. You've been denied for a long time, and you're feeling like you kind of deserve all the tasty stuff, and you've worked hard to get to this stage, and you feel like you want a reward, and that's valid. But the thing to remember is that this isn't the time to kind of really load up on calories. If you remember from kind of parts 2, 3, and 4, we talked about the biology of all the kind of hormones in the body, where your body is in that prime state for fat storage in that post-diet phase. So if you're hammering the calories in, then potentially you're kind of feeding into that hormonal profile where you're just going to be storing the body fat. Okay, so try not to feed into that as a concept. And this isn't the kind of the plan for the rest of your life. This is an interim phase where, as you transition from dieting toward a more kind of natural and normal way of organizing your nutrition and your lifestyle. So just bear that in mind. It's make sure that you really understand your body, make sure you're really listening to your body, and just kind of trying to give it what it needs. Have a little bit extra, because you're right, you do deserve to eat a bit more food, and you are allowed to eat a bit more food, but just bear in mind the transition between that dieting with that heavy restriction, building back up slowly toward being able to eat in a way that is more recognizable to your old self. Okay, and then considering that phase in terms of getting yourself back to that point, when you've dieted down, when you've created deficit after deficit after deficit in that kind of step down approach, you may find yourself kind of at a caloric intake that just isn't really sustainable for the rest of your life. And that this kind of gradual incremental increase back to normal, or back to a new level of normal, is really important from a calorie point of view as well. So we need to have this kind of almost slow and controlled addition or re-addition of calories back into the overall equation, or you could do it via macros if you prefer, just to make sure that we're not over flooding the kind of system with loads of extra calories and things that just can't tolerate at the moment, because it's quite sensitive. So bit by bit, we incrementally add a bit more and kind of work back toward a slightly more sustainable long-term calorie target for you. And what we're aiming to avoid is that kind of body fat overshooting and that rapid post-diet weight gain that you're probably very, very familiar with if you've been through the diets kind of a few times. So we want to bring the calories back up slowly without gaining too much body fat. At the very least, minimizing body fat gain, because like I said, you are going to gain a bit of weight, you are going to gain a bit of body fat, and that's okay. That's totally okay. But just bear in mind that if you're kind of feeling confused by this, if you're feeling unsure about this, then do consider approaching a nutrition expert or a dietitian, or someone that can guide you through the process and take you through step by step, so that you're doing it in a safe and controlled way. And they can help you move toward your maintenance calorie target. So there's probably potentially a big gap between where you are right now in your kind of initial post-diet phase, and where your kind of where the equations might say your caloric intake and macros need to be. So we actually have another course that could really help you with this. and it's part of our how-to series on the website, which we'll be making into a live course over the next couple of weeks. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you're interested in learning how to work out kind of maintenance calories and how to potentially bridge the gap between diet calories back up to a good healthy maintenance calorie level. So yeah, just keep your eyes peeled for that. It's called our how-to series. We've got lots of different kind of, how to calculate your walking target, how to calculate your calorie target, that sort of thing. So kind of the nice simple lifestyle basics to make sure that we're just getting you to a point where you understand how these things are worked out. The most important and the kind of final part of today's episode is the adherence. Okay, if you cannot stick to the kind of the things that you're asking yourself to do, if you can't adhere to the guidelines that you set yourself, we need to have a consideration of whether the actions that you are taking and the choices that you are making are applicable and achievable long term. If you can't stick to the new rules that you've set for yourself, then it's not the final plan, it's not the final answer. And that hopefully by now you've understood that it's not, that wouldn't be a scary situation to be in. I want you to get to a point where you kind of look at that and go, right, okay, I've not got it quite right now, but I'm going to keep tweaking and keep adjusting my plan, my nutrition, my lifestyle, my exercise, all the different things that I'm doing to impact my body fat and my weight loss or my weight maintenance. I'm going to keep tweaking it until I get it right. And again, if you're not sure how to do this, if you feel a bit lost and a bit kind of confused and a bit frightened that you're going to go right back shooting up to your old kind of pre-diet weight, then please talk to me, talk to someone else, talk to a nutritionist, a dietitian, a personal trainer, talk to someone who it's their job to guide people through this situation and back to this kind of sense of a new normal where the habits are really supporting the results that you want to see, and the habits are leading you into a situation where you feel strong and confident, energized, healthy, and it's not a situation where you're kind of being pummeled down and kind of just told what to do. Try and find someone that will guide you through, but that won't spoon feed you all the answers, because a good coach and a good trainer will help you get to where you need to be by educating you, by helping you to understand the mechanisms behind the processes, by understanding the equations, the things that we can apply to the lifestyle to make the changes that are needed to get the results that you want as an individual. Okay, so adherence is a really big part of weight maintenance and post-diet success. If you're finding it really hard to stick to the rules or the guidelines that you set yourself or that a trainer has set for you, then go to that person or tweak them yourself and keep tweaking. Give the tweaks a little bit of time to take root. So, make one tweak at a time. If, for example, you're kind of in your second week post-diet and your calories have been raised by 100. So say you've gone from 1,200 calories to 1,300 calories. You're in week 2. You're sort of going, God, my appetite's out of control. Energy's decimated. I feel rubbish. That might be the time, even if the coach or trainer is saying stay at 1,300, that might be the time where you go, actually, I'm just going to have a few days where I play around at 1,400. That extra 100 calories, as long as it's not necessarily in kind of like junk food, that extra 100 calories in some protein or some healthy fats or carbs or whatever you choose, that is not going to make a massive difference in terms of piling the fat onto your bones. Okay, so just bear in mind the little tweaks you can do. When you've made a small tweak, give it a few days, give it maybe a week to kind of take hold, let your body adapt to it and see how it feels. And then you can keep tweaking and keep changing things as you go along. But like I said, this is kind of a process where if you're struggling with the kind of up and down yo-yo, if you're kind of lacking confidence in that area, then please do this under the guidance of a nutrition specialist or a weight loss specialist or a weight maintenance specialist, someone that can help to give you the confidence to make those choices and that can reassure you if the scale or the body fat level starts going in the direction that you don't want to see. They can reassure you that it's part of the process and that you can pull it back in and change direction at any time. Okay, so that is all for today. That is part 6 of our 6-part series. So if you need any help at all, please come back to me and ask questions. If you're doing this via the website, which will be turned into a course retrospectively after this video has been made, so this, as you're seeing this, if it's live on YouTube or Facebook, it won't be a course yet, but this is going to be turned into an actionable course on the website where you can download a PDF and answer some quiz questions to test your knowledge. So if you're doing it on that, kind of retrospectively via that, then please consider going back to the beginning at any time, repeating the course, and just refreshing your knowledge to make sure that you understand everything that's going on. And if something doesn't make sense, come back to me, talk to me, ask questions, and we'll make sure that we clear it up for you so that you can go ahead and build your confidence in all of these areas of lifestyle knowledge. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you on the next course soon.